Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another podcast. As always, it's Usmaan Talks. Listen, we're going to be talking about serious topics. We're going to be discussing with our very special guest. Make sure you get in comments and drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We got the homie on here, the man who's known for many things. No longer part of Beckenbauer FC.
That's it.
Listen, we're not going to talk about the football. I've already spoken to it prior. We're going to talk about real life things, real life matters such as men's mental health, social media impact, and other matters. But without further ado, episode 5, special guest, Saeed, bro, what you saying?
Yeah, man. Alhamdulillah, man. I'm good, man. I'm good. You get me? Like we're in this dunya, but we're live and kicking, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man. Just take it each day as it comes, week by week. That's the main thing you can do, man. Take it week by week. Attack your goals that you have to do, and just keep it rolling, man. Because end of the day, man, it's all about survival now, man. Survival, and then just come out of this in the best way possible, mentally, physically. You know what I mean? Just everything, man. Spiritually, just come out of it. You know what I mean? And if you can come out of the lockdown and you're okay and you can go to go, then you've done your job, man. You've done your job. But other than that, man, I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, I'm not bad, man. Just listen to what you're saying. I think the one thing I took, the goals part of it, like for me personally, man, that's one thing that's so important, man. Just set yourself every single day goals, for most people at the moment, I'm on furlough at the moment for this week. So like every day is the same. I know you work in schools as well. So every day it becomes the same. You got to make sure you got to give yourself some forward targets. But you mentioned lockdown there. Like how's that been for you, obviously, before we go into the show? Like, how have you been coping? Is there anything that you've done in particular?
I feel like the first one for me was a kind of a blur, you know what I mean? Because I was working, obviously, I feel similar, working schools. I work in a school, special needs school. So for me, it was just keep the work. I had my routine, and I feel like for me, I enjoyed it. But then at the same time, I was like, I wasn't say I was jealous, but I was like, oh, these guys got free time, man, on their hands. I've got loads of things. For me, there was loads of things I wanted to do. I wanted to like be more creative, do more stuff, and then that bypassed. To be fair, I came out of it good because I feel like that one it was like the end, like start of spring going into the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas this one now, it's the start of winter, go through the whole of the slog, you know what I mean, dark nights, everything, and then you have to go past it, don't you? Do you know what I mean? And so for me, I found the first one very, very easy. This one here, I wouldn't say I found it harder, but I just felt like for me, it's the when you wake up and you find out it's like it's very cold, it's bitter. If you want to achieve things in life, you know what I mean, you have to do work in silence. You feel me? Like when you're in the summer, you can, you know what I mean, you have that feel good factor. There's a lot of people around you. You know what I mean, you get some energy off people. But now it's all on yourself, isn't it? You have to complete the goals by yourself. Nobody can say to you, listen, you know what I mean, go do this, go do that, or you hardly see the people around. You know what I mean? Like obviously we were in lockdown, but normally in the summer you can see people walking about. You see nobody. The only people you see nowadays is Uber Eats drivers, man. Let's be real, man.
Legit, man. Honest to God, man knows about the Uber Eats drivers. Man.
I'm telling you, that's the only people that are out.
Names, man. I know their names, but I'm Uber, But you kind of mentioned your work, right? I know obviously we didn't really plan to discuss your work, but the whole point of this podcast is for people to see a different side of you. Hence, we're not going to discuss football. I'm assuming when people tune in, they're going to ask you questions about football, which again you could do that on other podcasts. That's not what this is about. Of course. I kind of want people to understand what you do for a living. Just obviously don't have to go too much detail, but because you mentioned that, obviously I know because we've spoken previously. But in terms for people to actually understand what you're about, because I don't think a lot of people would associate that kind of work with you. To be fair,
yeah. A lot of people don't, man, and that's why I always say, what you might see as a hobby isn't almost, I always say with people, football doesn't define your character, because when you leave football, you know what I mean, your mum tells you go and get something from the shops. You know what I mean? Is that the but I'll be honest about, is that the same boisterous person that's on the TV saying, listen, you know what I mean, that player is better than that player? It's not. You know what I mean? We're giving our opinion on here. That's not my character. Well, it's a part of my character, but it's not my full character. It's not the full me. And obviously in my my day job, I do, help people, kids with special needs, with autism, and obviously I'm a different person anyway. I've always been, for me, like a caring person. Like I like to think that this world, you know what I mean, it's not all about looking after yourself and kind of being self-centered. I've never been a self-centered person. I've always been someone who's tried to help, you know what I mean, whether that's a community, whether that's the culture around you, whether that's, you know, in your workplace or whatnot. Like, I've always wanted to do something like that. And alhamdulillah, my last 3 years I've been doing it right now, and it's going good, man. You know what I mean? It's don't get me wrong, there's trials and tribulations, but I think with every job there's trials and tribulations. But for me, the best thing you've got to do is have a job that's rewarding. And for me, 100%. One of the most rewarding jobs you can get, man. And yeah, man, you know, it's a regular 9 to 5. People see it as a 9 to 5, but I don't look at work as a 9 to 5, me, because, you know, it's an income, and B, it's one of them jobs where, you know, you can't go into a work with education just think, oh, I've got to finish at, you know what, I've got to finish at 4 or 5. I can't wait to finish. Although in your mind and your head, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a long day today. You don't just come in and think, oh, it's another new day, because every day is a new day in education. Yeah. When you work in a school, every day is a new day, and you've almost got to, you know what I mean, be motivated, be, you know, and it can be tough, man. You know what I mean? You've always got to have a smile on your face. You've always got to kind of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Just be like, you know, very, very caring and whatnot. But
we got to be enthusiastic as well. I think
that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
enthusiastic.
The most.
Oh, sorry, mate.
So yeah, just obviously, you know, for me personally, like, you know, you spoke about caring, etc., and I think that's so key in that role. But the most important thing is that every day is different. Like for you, like you just mentioned, you've got to do a job that you find rewarding. In terms of, you know, starting a job, what was like the motivation behind it? Like you said that you're a very caring person by nature. Yeah. But were you always going to go down that route, or was there something else that, man?
I think for me, I've always been doing like charity stuff and youth working. You know, I remember when I finished high school, I did a lot of youth working. Yeah. A lot of behind the stuff. I remember we did a project in the local community centre where we had like feeding the community. Like we made a 3-course meal.
I did a lot of youth work in Manchester, by the way, because I went to.
Oh, did you? Whereabouts?
I did Manmet, but I thought, is it Gorton? Is that an area?
Yeah, Gorton. Yeah.
So I did a lot of youth work in that area, rough area, man. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's a rough area, man. Down High Road, and then yeah.
Man. I went in there first time doing youth work. These mans, they were like, I used to live in Mossad basically, so obviously you know what Mossad is, a rough area. But I went to Gorton to do work, and these mans, they pre-warned me like, yo, there's people on bikes, like, look at the book me, and I was like, yo,
yeah. Gorton's a massive area, man. Gorton's one of them. You know, it's a big area, and I feel like, you know, if you're not from around there, you don't go there. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them areas. There's only a Tesco there that I think my uncle works in. You know what I mean? And that's about it, mate. You know what I mean? There's no other kind of glamour. Yeah, go on, big up the United Way. But like, there's no other kind of glamour side to it, if I'm being honest with you. You know, it's very, very much, you know, in and out, mate. There's certain areas where you can go, you can have a walk and whatnot, but there's certain areas where you're in and out, mate. You know, you're in and out, but
bro, like nobody even told me, man. These mans have set me up to die in that, but as you said, if you don't know people around the set, but you're in trouble. But listen, the one thing that I know that's really important, and I'm assuming someone with a big following like yourself, is being a positive role model for kids. Obviously, you work with kids as well. You know, how important is that for you? I know people are going to potentially sit here and think, how is Saeed a positive role model in their eyes? But
yeah, exactly.
In terms of like for you as a person, like, you know, how important is that to you to be a positive role model for the younger generation, etc.?
Absolutely, and I feel like for me, it's just, you know, I know people can say, you know, you're in the media, you're doing this and whatnot, but you are a content creator and you are doing stuff that, you know, that you are like, you know, like little kids watch this. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to like nowadays not swear anymore. You know, I'm trying to not like what's the word, like be very, very like angry all the time. Like I am just trying to just like watch football, you know what I mean, try and smile as much as I can, even though Man United, I mean, I'm not doing well.
Bro, legit, my son.
Exactly. And I just feel like, you know, in my actual day job, you know, you have to be a role model anyway. You have to be someone that can set an example of the right way of living, the right way of talking. Because at the end of the day, you know, the kids that I work with, you know, they don't really like, you know, it's hard to kind of you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like adjust society. You know, it's a case of, you know, sometimes the way of speaking, you have to model that. You know, I mean, exactly, yeah. You have to model that, and I feel like for me, when I model that there, I feel like, you know, especially in the community now, you know, when it's times are tough right now, you know what I mean. There's people that are thinking, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't, you know, achieve this, I can't achieve that. Listen, I never thought I'd achieve none of this, mate. None of this, man.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, man, 100%, man. You know what I mean? And God willing, you know what I mean. There's been trial and tribulations, but for me, I've always said to myself, be yourself, yeah. And I feel like the rest will come, and the rest has come. And you know, I've got to thank God. I've got to thank the people around me. You know, and I've just got to say to myself, you know, as long as you put in the hard work and you put in the kind of foundations to kind of get you up there, everything is possible. And I always say that to people. There's always a lot of people who say, you know, you can't do this. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of things people can achieve, but they don't realize it though. They really, really don't realize it. And for me, being a role model, you know what I mean, it's something, it's a good pressure. You know what I mean? Like people say it's a pressure on you, and you've got to watch your every move. You've got to watch this and that. And for me, you've got to just be humble. I always say for myself, if I'm be humble and I can set myself to a standard where, you know, I don't get ahead of myself and I stay true within myself and my character, then I feel like for me, that's all you need for people to respect you and to gain that kind of, you know, that role model feeling. Because at the end of the day, there are young generation out there now that are watching and see stuff online. So you've got to act accordingly, as you say, man. You know?
Yeah, no, I think for me personally, I always say you got to be true to yourself. Like, you know, that's something that I always hold dear to myself. Like, you know, alhamdulillah, I come from a Muslim background as well.
Yeah.
You know, Islamically, you know, you always got to stay genuine and true to yourself as well. But like for me personally, in terms of what you said there, in terms of being a role model and having that influence on people, I think it's integral that people like yourself are, you know, utilizing that sort of platforms to be for good matters. Like, and I think the one thing that I loved about you, even off stream, obviously I know you're a different side to you that other people do, but just the fact that you did that podcast about mental health. And again, it's not something that you've done on your like, from what I'm aware of. You've not done something like that on your platform before. As we spoke, yourself and Musa was absolutely fantastic. I just loved everything about that podcast, and it was so refreshing to see that from someone like yourself. Like, what was like the sort of thought process behind doing that stream? Was there any sort of was there anything that you wanted to get out of that, so to speak?
You know what it is, for me, like there's always a saying of you don't have to do it, you know. But it was, for me, it was a case of like, I thought of the concept and I thought, you know, because I always say, man, you know, I mean, mad in the dunya, it's always madness in the dunya, isn't it? You know, there's always things going on. There's always, you know, I mean, there's craziness happening in the dunya. And I thought to myself, you know, people have kind of neglected like mental health in terms of, you know, the well-being of people, because at the end of the day, this lockdown has tore families apart. People have lost loved ones. People have lost family members. You know, I mean, there's people have died through this, and you know, and people can, you know, people, as much as people have died, you know, people have died like in their heart and in their brain, and in terms of mentally, you know, they're broken down, like broken. It's almost as if it's like near death, you know, because if you can't physically think and you can't, you know, you can't get up and motivate yourself each day, and you're broken inside and you can't trust anyone, you know, sometimes I feel like for me it's like, you know, it's almost like, you know, you can't do things anymore. And you know, and I said to myself, more and more, so we caught up with the idea, and I thought mental health has to be the first priority. First priority. And I put it out there because I always think, you know, in this kind of content creating, man, I always think, man, you know, there's a lot of people out there that do content, but it's as if they're putting out the content for their own gain. And not, listen, it's their own gain, because at the end of the day, it's something that, you know, you can earn a living from. It's something that you can earn popularity from. But I always think, you know, the people who are watching it, they watch it for an hour, but what do they do for the next 24 hours? It's like, you know, you don't know what's going on. They can stick that TV on. They might have that kind of moment of 1 hour to say to themselves, you know what, I feel good for an hour. But for the next 23 hours, they feel like absolute, like, you know, rubbish, really. So you've got to look after them people. You've got to realize that these people are watching us, man. They're kids, man. They're 18, 19. Some of them are even like 40, 50. There's a guy on there. I don't know if you've seen the guy. There was a guy on there saying, oh, I'm 14, but, you know, I've been going through lately. I've gone through a lot. I think my nana died or something like that. Or my one of my parents died or something like that on the lines. And he goes, I'm struggling to motivate myself for education. And nobody will know that. And he's watched this podcast and he's thought, you know what? You know, that what can he give me advice? Like nobody else can give you that. 100%. Not many people know about all these Samaritans and all these, you know, advice. Like they don't know all about that. You have to research. You have to people to tell you. Like sometimes it can be too long, and it can also be a stigma. Whereas when you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear the stigma thing. That's definitely something that, obviously being a Pakistani lad, that's, you know, I'm sure massively. And in your culture as well, but Muslim culture, like etc. It's just, well, it's not really a culture, but in you know, in our society, they make it into a culture. But just coming back to what you said in terms of, you know, younger people looking at it, and, you know, 23 hours a day, you know, they could feel some kind of way. They come on to watch your podcast, and, you know, especially that one in particular, and the positive ramifications it has. I just think, for me personally, the reason I've started this series, right, was to normalize this conversation. The first episode I did was a while back with my mate, but we didn't really put it into series, and I did one with bits and bobs a week after, and then eventually Healh was the first episode. But the reason we started was to normalize this sort of taboo
conversation
subject and put it into normal conversation. And I don't want people to think, oh, he's sort of, you know, diminishing the sort of severity of mental health. That's not the case at all. It's more diminishing it as a taboo in society in terms of it's okay to not be okay. That's the one thing I always say on these episodes when we talk mental health. Because as you said there with that 14-year-old lad, like, you know, there's people around him, you know, they're not well aware of that. And the thing with mental health is that you can't physically see it. Like, I always tell this story, like, one of my very close mates, obviously I'm not gonna name his name, but I've known him for a long time, most charismatic person, you know, always happy, and then he tried to commit suicide. Like, I found out randomly that I tried to commit suicide, and I would have never put that and that, you know, them two things together. Literally most charismatic, the life of the party, so to speak. And I think that's the thing with mental health. Like, a lot of people are struggling and they don't want to talk about it, especially in lockdown, as you alluded to. I actually thought the first lockdown was harder for me personally than this one.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Because I wasn't working in that one. I'm working in this one, so it's a bit easier for me personally.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to routine, actually, which is another thing that you mentioned. Routine is so key for me personally.
Having a purpose as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like having that purpose every day, finding that purpose, finding the reason to wake up. A lot of people that are struggling, like suicidal thoughts, etc., they always say the similar things like, I don't know the reason for me to wake up the next day. Like, you know, and it's about having that. Like, for you personally, you've kind of mentioned this twice, your community and close, like, knit friendship group. Like, you know, how important is it for you to have those people, you know, within that group, especially these times, you know, when, you know, people are struggling? Like, do you have those people to lean on, so to speak, and like have that open chat with?
Massively, you know. And I think for me as well, you know, that the friendship for me, I feel like it can go two ways. You can have friends who, you know, they're with you when you have the high moments, and they, you know, it's all good and well. But there's other friends that you have as well that, you know, that want to hear your emotional side, or they want to hear when your things are going tough. You know, if you don't have them two balances, or you don't even have a friend who has them in them qualities, and, you know, you have to find, and I know it's, you know, you can't just say go find a friend like that, but, you know, it's good to have the people around me that you can benefit from and, you know, look up to. And I feel like, you know, especially when you have the, you know, your friendship, choose wisely. You know, choose the people who can motivate you, choose the people who give, you know, good ways about you, and think about you in a good manner, and try to think for you. And I feel like for me that's been a key for me, you know, like, you know, having people around me who want me to push, want me to succeed more, want me to kind of elevate, want me to kind of do things well, that will tell you things that you need to be told. That, you know, it's not always rosy, man. You know what I mean? And I'd rather respect someone who told me, listen, this is not right, you tell me what's, you know what I mean, this the way.
I tried to tell you about Maguire. He's just doing to listen to me.
Well, there you go then. You know what I mean? And exactly, and you see the light sometimes, and, you know, and that's been massive. And I feel like, you know, it's difficult, man, when you're in a close, in a neighborhood where, you know, you've probably gone away from your family and you're living on your own, or you're living with people that you don't know, and it can be difficult. I'm not even, like, you know, trying to play it down. It is difficult, but, you know, if you have that sense of community with you, and I feel like, you know, maybe coming from a kind of a cultural background where, you know, I say I've come from a Somali background, there always is that, and that's what I like about the community here. There's always a sense of community is there, you know, that you can go to. But, you know, when you have like, you know, other cultures where it might be broken, or, you know, there's that lack of sense of communication, and families keep to their families, then it will be difficult. But the key thing is, man, just speak up, man. Speak up, and just keep it positive, and keep it, you know, upbeat, and try to, like you said, gain a purpose, and gain a kind of a routine. You know, that's massive, absolutely massive.
100%. And also meet like-minded people, meet people that, you know, into the same thing as you. I'm sure, you know, Saeed would agree with this. Like, I've met so many amazing people from starting this YouTube channel. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
There's a lot of positives to doing YouTube. You know, people think obviously monetary gain or whatever, you know, class has, but it's a community, man. Like, in terms of meeting people that are into the same things as you. You know, you could be into ice hockey, you could be into archery, whatever it may be, man. There's always people out there similar to you. You just gotta look for them. But I kind of want to allude to another thing. You've led me onto it nicely. You said, your friendship group has helped you a lot. Obviously keep pushing you, motivate you, which is so key, obviously, for success. Alhamdulillah. But has it been difficult for you? Because let's be real and let's cut the bullshit in there. Alhamdulillah, you've blown up to an extent. Obviously, there's a long way to go, and I'm assuming you're 100K, 1 million, inshallah. Inshallah. But how has it been for you, meeting people, as I've just said, in the community? Have you ever felt that it's difficult to trust people? How have you dealt with that? Potential disingenuous people.
Well, alhamdulillah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I've kind of not felt that so far. I think the community now is crazy, man. I can walk down the street and the local taxi man. I remember I was coming from work, and I work in quite far away from where I am, about half an hour drive, and I feel like I was waiting there for the transport, and the next week, there's a black cab pulled over, and he said, come in. And I went, no, that could be a good money for you. Especially this kind of day and time. It would be about at least £20, £25. And I thought, nah, you go in. And he goes, nah, come on, man. Come on, get in. So I got in and he goes, oh, man, I owe you big time. And he goes, no, don't worry, man. I watch you guys all the time. And I love your chats and I love what you do. And for him, he just wanted that chat about football or whatever it was. And I just, that kind of sense of community, recently I went to one side and there was about 4 or 5 people just want to have a chat with you about football. You know what I mean? It's just, and I know they might think it's for you guys, whoever in the comment, might think it's an ordinary chat, but they see you as a kind of a prominent figure, or they might see you as a person who's in the know, or who is a kind of not an ambassador, but someone that they can look up to and say, you know what, I've had a chat with him. It's a good chat. It's a therapy chat. You know what I mean? And we look up to him and we say good work. And that's all I've been getting lately, man. Maybe that's just my character. I'm not sure. And other people might have a kind of different kind of experience. But for me, it's been more love. It's been more kind of keep going, keep pushing. You know what I mean? There will be people out there that will, not like what I do. But in the meantime, bro, I always say, man, it comes from my heart. It comes from a good, source of me. And I feel like for me, I just try and make sure that I can represent the community and represent the culture as much as I can, and yeah, man, it's just me love, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Most of the time, just keep what you're doing, random working vans. You see a random van out of nowhere just come up and this work is just keep up what you're doing, and it's man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy world out there.
Big,
Yeah, man. Alhamdulillah, man. I can't complain, man. I can't complain.
That's good, man. It's good to see it, man. But listen, in terms of social media impact, you spoke about role models earlier on.
Yeah.
I kind of want to delve into this in a couple of different manners. We got society pressure as a topic as well, which we will discuss. Yeah. But in terms of social media impact, I mean this not in a football term at all. In terms of in society. So let me give you an example. As we said, Valentine's Day has just happened. Everyone seems. I just find it funny, me personally. This isn't me being a hate, I'm just being real. Yeah. I find it so funny that couples feel like they have to pose. Now, for example, if you're a couple and you don't pose, people will start thinking, what's happened? They're not together. It's like you have to pose if you're not together. In terms of sort of social media, how much of an impact do you think that has on society?
It's massive. It's massive, man. The social media pressure, man. You know what I mean? The urge, like you said, to post it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just the way society is gone now. You know what I mean? It's if you do a 5K run, you've got to show the people you've done a 5K run.
It's not happening if you're not posted. It's not happening.
If it's not exactly, and that's the saying, isn't it? And I feel like for me, the real, genuine, successful people in life. I was reading I don't know if you see my Instagram yesterday, but I was listening to some guy, and it's called The Positive Mindset, and he said the most successful people in the world do not brag about their success. Everything is done behind closed doors. Success is not measured, through the eyes of social media. 100%. It's measured when, through the hard graft and the behind the scenes that people never see, the struggles. That's the biggest one, the struggles. And he said, and I just thought to myself, you know what? I thought that's a massive point now, because you don't need to tell people you're doing something for them, for you to be successful. You don't. Honestly, you could. Yeah. I could be behind this all of this here, and I could somehow be on 6 figures, and I'd be like, nobody would know. You know what I mean? Nobody would know, because end of the day, I don't need to brag about that. I don't need to show what I'm doing behind the scenes to know that I'm doing something. And that's the same with the social media. Valentine's Day, don't get me wrong, if it's for their own like kind of leads and it's a good feeling to let them know you've had 10 years anniversary, I understand that, farewell, and it's a good feeling for them. But I think that's just a short kind of measure of social media. That Valentine's Day is a short measure because it's like it's almost like an acceptance of what. Come on, man! Look at us! Look at us! That we're together.
Yeah, this is what I mean. This is that sort of the issue for me personally. So, and again, this is something that I've fallen victim to as well. Like I do it a lot.
Yeah, everyone's done it. Everyone's done it.
So I'm not sitting here trying to I don't want people to think I'm like brown nosing or like.
But we're just assessing we're assessing the subject, innit? We're assessing the subject.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We're talking about it.
I think for me personally, like I just had to turn my notifications off of late, like on Twitter in particular. I just think you just get too indulged with it. Like me included, like the amount of debates I was on football Twitter, I just kind of just it. Like I just thought, what is the point? Like, do you know what I mean? There's no point. There's no point to going around in circles. If someone else has got their opinion on something, they've got their opinion on it, and so forth. But we just spend too much of our time. Like,
have you noticed one thing I do on Twitter? Have you noticed one thing I do? When the game is on, I don't tweet anymore.
Yeah, honestly, God, that's one thing that because I do the watch along. I know you do watch along as well.
Yeah, we do the watch along. Yeah,
it's literally the best thing, man. It's just because you're normally angry as well, like mostly, because especially watching us.
Well, there you go.
Times you're gonna be angry, man.
Exactly, and almost you can assess everything, and this is just not a football associate, but you can assess everything for how long the duration is, and then you can build your kind of analysis after that. I felt like for me, what I was doing, and I was almost falling for it because you're basing something on one thing, but then another thing could happen in a split second. So you have to assess things for what it is, and then when you've done with the game, when you're done with something that you've done, then form your own opinion, and that's what for me I've done, and I feel like that's what social media, like you said, and I had the break as well. I had the break between the start of January till about mid-January. End of January, I had a break, and I just went off social media and I just analyzed it, and I just said to myself, "Wow, this is crazy, man. The same thing is just happening." And I said to myself, I was talking to my mate today, like, when you go on social media for like 3 hours and you've done loads of things, you've done this, you've gone to the shops, you've gone shopping, you've gone for a walk or whatnot, you go back to the same thing that's been on social media for the last 3 hours.
That's exactly what I was just about to say to you, like, because with my Twitter now, I've literally turned off. I don't get many notifications anyway, but I've turned them off anyway, so I don't even see it. So, like, I was like, I left it for a couple of days. Obviously, the only reason I go on Twitter is to post my video and whatnot. But I went back on it, like you said, like a couple of hours later, and I was like, these man still arguing about this. It's been like 3 hours, like, let it go. And I think this is the thing with like social media, like we waste so much time on it, and I think. Also, you kind of mentioned with obviously the Valentine's Day. The reason I mentioned that was more because I think the issue with social media is people are so desperate to get other people's recognition. Like, I feel like without that sort of like for example, like don't get me wrong, when I go on holiday, I post pictures and whatnot. But
like, of course.
Even if I go for a meal with the boys, like, every single time, or if there's 9 of us, I guarantee 90% of us have got it on the story, me included as well. Like.
Of course.
Do it? Like, it's just like,
I think it's again like the recognition of you've been there, you've gone to the story, you've gone there, you've gone, you've been to the restaurant. And for me, like, if people can have their kind of different ways about it. You could just do it and you think, oh, this is nice food, I'll take a picture of it, or you do whatever. But there's certain other people that will take, do it because they've been to a restaurant, they've gone there and they've done it, and they've had that, you meet with your boys, you meet with your mates, and you go to the park, you've had a chat for a day, and everyone wants to know the story of what's happened that day, So certain people can do it because I feel like, maybe if they're an influencer, people want to realize what they've done in their day, how can they, how they've transformed their day. But for other people, it's like, it's almost like, it's like a, you're repeating every single thing you're doing. Like it almost becomes like a robot, and that's what I think Twitter is like right now, social media, this robotic behavior. That's all it is, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, I hear that, man. Everyone's like you said, robotic behavior. I just think everyone's like on that same wave as well in terms of we wanna have that clout. There's too much clout chasing basically.
Yeah, massively.
This is kind of what I want to speak about, because obviously I know you've blown up for your rants. And well, not as in rants and bans, as in you ranting. So a lot of people have this misconception, and I was trying to think of how I read this question, but people have this misconception that you rant because it gets you views, or
obviously
I know you get this all the time, but you're basically fake fan, you're X, Y, and Z. Like, you know, I can see why people would think that, but in terms of from you as a perspective, like, you know, how has that affected you mentally? Has there ever been a point they thought, fuck it, I can't be asked to do this anymore? Because like these guys are just, I'm just a normal guy supporting my team. As you said, you're a content creator. You're just doing something you love like the rest of us. You know, you've got a normal 9-to-5 job, and then you come on social media and there's this massive witch hunt. Not once, not twice. I've seen it many times. And the amount of people that I know, like I've collaborated in the past or slagging you off, and I'm like, well, you don't even know him the way I know him. Like, do you know what I mean? Why are you slagging? You literally don't know him. And because of the way people portrayed you on social media, people put you in this box of like this guy's X, Y, and Z. Like, how's that made you feel when you see those witch hunts coming for you like that?
I think the people who do it, like you said, they don't know you. You know what I mean? They don't know your character. And for me, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I always say that's why for me, I put these captions out and I say, you know, I'm just a regular guy from South Mali. You know, I'm just here, just representing the culture. I'm just here, kind of giving my point of view. You know, we said it on the podcast, on this Mali Dunya podcast. You know, an opinion is something that you can take it or leave it. You know, it's not factual. You take it or you accept it or you deny it. You know, if I give you the opinion and you go with it and you say, you know what, I agree with his opinion and I'm going to go with that opinion as well. You take it or you leave it. And I feel like for me, there's no acceptance of opinion no more nowadays. There isn't. 100%. And you know, and
people
for me,
get offended,
I've always,
man. People get offended.
Absolutely.
Bro.
Absolutely. And for me, you know me and my character, like I've always loved that kind of different opinion. Or I might just go into it and be like, oh, what is he talking about? But at the end of the day, I'll be like, you know what? That's his opinion. And it's almost a case now of, okay, I've been given a kind of a platform to give my opinion. Okay, I might become the voice of people, but I'm not. I've always said that for me, it's my voice, and I'm not speaking for the whole United fan base or the whole of a certain, like age group or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've always said that for me, and people just can't accept it. And I feel like that's the sole purpose of it all. People don't want to accept your opinion, and people don't want to hear your opinion. And as it becomes like a malice of hate, it comes down to, for me, it comes down to as well, man. You know, it's like, you know, why is he talking for us? You know, why is he of all people talking for us? Who dares him to talk for a fan base? Or, you know, and I feel like, you know, it's almost a case of, I always say to people, like, you know, everyone can have that platform to speak. You know, you could go on a microphone, you could go on your platform. Okay, mine might go to the masses in the world and it might go reach other people, but in the day, if you want your opinion, that platform will give you your chance to speak. You know, it's whether, you know, an opinion as well, you know, people can listen to it and they'll be like, think, he's boring and we don't want to hear him. There is out there, I understand that. People sometimes they might look at a guy and think, he's boring me here. And some other people, they might say, you know what, he looks interesting. It's like when you go on the internet right now and you go on a podcast, after 5 minutes, if you're not interested, Usmaan, are you going to watch it?
Yeah, no, it's true, man. I switch off on yours all the time after 2 minutes.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you. So, you know, for me, like, you know, and also you don't have to watch it. You know, I always say to these people, you can unfollow me, unsubscribe, you can block me, you can do everything. And they always try to say, oh, it's just come on my feed. But he hasn't. If you know who I am and you can block me, then block me. But they don't want to do it. It's just another reason to feel hate, to feel whatever they're doing. And for me, you know what is there for me? I've never ever kind of like, you know, took it that way, because end of the day, I don't know them and they're not my culture.
Absolutely.
That's a key word for that. Yeah. They're not my culture. You know,
it's definitely key. But you know what I mean? One of the topics we are going to discuss racism, and you know, part of culture has winded people up for the wrong way for God knows how many years now. But
it's crazy when you think of an opinion, like, you know, when you think of these guys and you're thinking, you know, and I say this for people who, you know, want to be strong, take stronger in terms of trolling. You know, trolling. You know, a lot of people. What I say to people, are you going to see these the next day? You know, these guys of your culture, are these guys going to be here in about 5 or 10 years? These guys here when you're struggling with your family and, you know, you've got family time. These guys here, are these guys around you? Are they in your neighborhood? No, they're not, man. They're in a remote area. They're not, you know, sometimes you look at them and when they're trolling you, you know, you don't know the circumstance. They could be in a room and it could be the lights not working, or they could be in a house where they've not paid their bills. You know, they can have so many different circumstances. Whereas you're doing well, you're doing your stuff, people like you, 90% love, 2% hate. That's how I deal with everything in life. 90% love, 2% hate. If you choose to focus on the 2% hate, I'm telling you, you're not going to get anywhere. If you choose to focus on the 90% love, then you will embrace it. You will take it on. You'll be like, you know what? I like the people. I'm going to keep carrying what I'm doing, and you will take it. And for me, I always say, man, I was never ever destined for this. I was never. So I always take this opportunity. I think, you know what? I'm humble. I'm grateful. I always say to myself, I'm grateful to everything that comes. I always say to myself, you know what? I'm just a regular kid, man. I'm just a regular guy from South Money. I mean, not many people around me have made it to this level of, where their opinion is valued, and the people like to hear my opinion. It's never been around me. So I just embrace it until I can possibly do it. I'll keep doing it until it's not possible anymore. And the platform, somehow becomes not very popular, or it doesn't, I feel like I don't want to do it anymore. Then I'll keep doing it. But until then, I always say to myself, I'm in a privileged position. You know what I mean? And them idiots here, I call them idiots because they are idiots that say to you, oh, this and that, and they try abuse you and whatnot. They just want to put you down. And that's all it is, man. They are jealous, they are haters, and all they want to do is put you down. And that's all you have to think about it like that. Just think of it as that 100%.
Way. That's exactly what I was gonna say. A lot of it just comes stem from jealousy as well. Like, there's a few things I want to touch on. First and foremost, like, a lot of people, in terms of what you said, that a lot of people always focus on negatives. Like, in life, you've got to focus on the positive. As you said, in your eyes, you don't feel like you don't know how you stumble across to this position. But for me personally, whatever you do in life, you're never going to please everyone. Like, it's just a matter of life. Like, you can literally be Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. You got the flipping Ronaldo fanboys hating on Messi. You got the Messi fanboys hating on Ronaldo. These guys are like unbelievably talented players. There's nothing to hate on either of them. They've actually done nothing wrong. It's just people create this narrative wherever they want to paint you as, they'll paint you as. And in your case, obviously, they'll paint you with a brush of this guy's doing it for views. I'm assuming you get that all the time. Like, in terms of the people themselves, like, again, it does come down to jealousy because they're not winning. And again, another culture in society, again, social media kind of fuels this, is like this sort of cancel culture, and also in particular focusing on people that are winning. Like, people don't want to see you win. Like, no. In terms of, like, you could be successful, someone could be like, oh, congratulations. But as you said, behind closed doors, they might not really feel that way because they're like, why is XYZ there? I should be in that situation. But in terms of
that's a big one.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's massive. Like, you get it all the time. Obviously, we believe in evil eye and stuff, but in terms of cancel culture, I know you've been on the end of that. That mentally, like, have you ever been in a situation has that affected you mentally? But I know you kind of answered it anyways. But
I think for me,
how did you deal with that? And what advice would you give to anybody else that's people are like on their neck? Like, this advice could be used for people in school, for example, are getting bullied, and everyone hates you, for example. Let's put it in a different scenario. Everyone hates you because you're the odd kid. So in your case, right, you was cast as the odd one out. Really, let's be real with the Ollie stuff. I think Ransom was probably with you most of it, but you guys were very early doors on freestyle.
I was early. About 2 years now. Been like 2 years.
You were very early doors, and you got a lot of backlash because of that. Because you were inadvertently, because you're different. Basically, that's why your opinion was different. Yeah, you're different. It's like, how do you deal with being different? Like, in terms, like, someone's put the Mary comment in here, but but your thoughts on that. Like, how do you deal with being different in that sense?
Yeah, for me, I always say you can't be cancelled if you come from the right culture. I always say that, man. If you got good character and you come from the right culture, I just don't believe you can be cancelled because, and I say that in a way because if you come from an upbringing that is very, very good, you totally respect people, you do the things right, you say things in a good way, I believe it's less likely for you to be cancelled. But in a way, when they come for you and they try and do that, for me, they've done it to me many times, man. They'll try pick out. There was one about being a ticket tout. I remember there was one being a ticket tout, and I remember the story. I know they bring it up all the time, mate. And I remember, but one of my mates who lives in I think he lives in Huddersfield. Huddersfield, yeah. And he told me to give me his tickets, yeah. And he said to me, "There's a guy I want you to sell it on to. And I want you to give it me." So I got the tickets, yeah. Forever what he sold it, yeah, he sold it to a price. And he said to me, I want you to give them tickets, yeah. And we've already set a price out. I've already messaged a guy. You get the money off him. Now, when I see you next time, yeah, you give me the money. If I'm telling you now, Usmaan, have I made any penny of that, Usmaan?
No, absolutely not.
That's what I mean. And I feel like, it's a case of, people see that and they latch onto it and they want to cancel you for them little small minuscule, whatever it is, them little small details, and they try and do that. And until this minute now, there's still them kind of moments where they come at you and say you're a ticket out or whatnot. You try take money off the fans or what. And I've always said to the people, man, these are the kind of things that will knock you down. If you choose to let these things knock you down, then you're almost like buying into their kind of their hatred and their it's almost like they're sucking you in, and you can't let them do that. They want you to fail. They want you to be miserable. And I feel like the cancel culture that's going on right now is toxic, man. Especially on Twitter, social media.
I was gonna say
it's toxic, mate. Because you could do something, like 10 years ago, or so you could say something like especially for me, especially on YouTube, because there's a lot of opinions that we'll have on YouTube. Listen, we're on an hour stream, sometimes a 3-hour watch along. You've done watch alongs as well. You might say something like, "Oh, this guy's rubbish," or "I don't want him playing ever again."
Bro,
or
the way I violate our players. Oh, someone clip that.
there you go then. But at the end of the day, though, when that game's finished, you might think, you know what? I said what I said about the player. I still support the player. And then next game, clean slate. Next game, we go again. It's the same way. I feel like for me, and then what they do is they take a 30-second clip of that video without context. By the way, there's no context. They take it out to suit the narrative of the people. What happens in social media? What happens with people that are online nowadays? They don't watch the whole video. They don't. They won't do it. They won't waste their time.
Well, there was that one with Rance and Bruno, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I remember yourself, Aaron, was in the video as well, and apparently none of you said anything. But I remember
exactly. And there was one, I think it was about Ndombele. There was one where it was on Ndombele, and they said, would you rather take Ndombele or whatnot? And I said, I'll still keep Bruno, because I think Ndombele is still improving. But I think the narrative was, oh, these guys have got a massive Bruno agenda, or da-da-da-da. And I think there was another one about McTominay, about, I think Ollie and Rand saying, I genuinely hate Ollie for that. And I feel like for me, what he was trying to go by was the fact that why does he keep persisting with Ollie in a DM? That's why he hates Ollie. Not the fact that he just hates Ollie for no reason. No one can hate someone without no reason. You know what I mean? I can't hate you because you know what I mean. There's no what basis of the hate. You have to have a base of hate. And I feel like the people right nowadays, they have no basis of hate. It's almost like they hate you for no reason. I feel like that cancel culture comes from that. For you to be cancelled is a reason for you to them say, you know what, we don't know what he's about, but you know what, we'll get this here and we'll cancel him right now. And that is all it is, man. That's all it is.
It's that as well as clout chasing as well. A lot of people post those clips, and the amount of times I've seen clips of yourself and Ron. To be fair, the recent one, you've become a rape meme. I've seen your page.
Well, there you go then. Yeah. There you go.
But
have you noticed it's that for me, and that's my kind of side for me, because I not that I want to show that more, but I just feel like for me, a lot of people focus on the negative too much, and they don't realize for 2 minutes and 2 hours and 59 minutes of it, the rest of the video, it's joy. We're having a laugh, and we're talking about other stuff, and we're enjoying the kind of feeling. And I feel like for me, there will be always people like that. And I feel like for me, that's one thing I have to learn, man. I have to learn that people will be out there clipping you a lot, man. A lot of people take information from 2-3 years ago. I remember there was a quote about today. I said something about the Harry Beckenbauer and all that. There was a guy who put a tweet out that I did about Bruno, about he's not a number 10, and all he needs to drop him. In terms of, I think it was a game against Istanbul where he gave the ball away 17 times in one half. And I was like, all he needs to control him and tell him, listen, if you're not doing well, you're getting dropped. And that was my whole feeling. Not that I do think he should drop right now, but at that point, that context, and that's a problem. The people use that context from that other way, that 3 or 4 months ago, and they put it into right now, you know. And what it will do is trick people. And it'll trick people like that. And that's the problem with nowadays. They don't think themselves. And then, you know what they don't do? They don't research for themselves, bro. That's one thing they don't do.
No one's going to do research. I think this is the thing, like coming to the cancel culture and, social media toxicity. Like, people are so quick to try and cancel people because of jealousy as well. Like, people want you to fall, Saeed. That's what it is, basically. That's what comes out.
Massively.
People want to see you fall. If they've got any sort of inkling or opportunity to bash you, they will take that. And sadly, we've seen that in football as well, in particular recently, with the racism as well. Like, Obviously,
Oh yeah,
we could
massively.
sit here all night and talk about racism society because, like, I don't know if you've seen the Meghan Markle thing, like, but that's been coming out today. But like, even with that, it's like the media stuff that I tweeted about that as well. But in terms of in football, we'll stick to football for the time being. Like, at the moment, it's just getting ridiculous now because like every single game, let's just say Martial as an example, because he's off form. It's too accessible for these guys to be racist online. Like, just like what do you reckon? Like, how do we try to like combat this? Because it seems like it's just so it's like almost impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, it's almost impossible until the big social media accounts take control of it. The level of racism. But I always say this is it's a big issue because how do Instagram measure racism? Because when you put the monkey emoji under Martial or whoever's getting racial abuse, if that same report gets sent to Instagram, do Instagram have buzzwords like the N word, like the P word? Do Instagram have buzzwords? So if they see the N word or whatever, they can easily say, you know what? Okay, that comes under, because these are robots, by the way. I don't think Instagram they have people working for them. I genuinely believe it's robots that are working, and they see this and they see a violation. Okay, the N word violation, boom. Okay, and then what they do is, and I say with the monkey emoji, how do they measure that though? So if someone reports that, I've done it before, and someone's done it, and I've measured it, and I've reported it, and Instagram come up and say, not enough sufficient evidence was found, that broke the rules of our code of conduct and whatnot, and that's a problem. Until you sort that out, and you have, and you kind of measure how racism is, and in terms of social media, you're never gonna do it. I think Twitter do it better. I think Twitter do it a little bit better than Instagram, because Instagram, if you're looking at a comment on Instagram, especially on social media, I don't think on Twitter, the problem with Twitter is there might be 2 or 3 comments that come under abuse. Whereas when you go on to Instagram, it's flying, mate. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's
crazy.
Flying.
It's crazy. I've seen
and
it.
how do you then get all that? And how many people have got to report every single person who puts a comment? Because a comment, and he could say that comment how many times, by the way? You can say it how many times you want.
Yeah, it's true. You can literally spam it, as people have. Twan Savi is another person that's been getting abused. From our perspective, anyways. But like, I hear that in terms of buzzwords, actually, that's quite a clever way of doing it. But even then, like, it could be like, for example, like, just say someone's gone to the zoo and John, you got a picture of a monkey sort of thing. Like,
of course,
then that's gonna get deleted as well if you put it into a buzzword. You know what I'm saying? So they can't do like that. But I just think, for me personally, it comes back to society, in terms of like, education, man. Like, at the day, a lot of people on social media, they're not using the platform for good, like in terms of raising awareness for these matters. We see the BLM movement, etc.
They're not using it.
They're just not educating people. Like, I spoke to obviously one of the other guests that we had on, we were talking about racism in football as well. In terms of, from a football perspective, I don't think they're doing near enough, like, to like discuss racism in football. They kind of mention it here and there, but in terms of like eradicating it, like, I just can't see it happening until there's massive ramifications.
Absolutely. And I think for me, I did a kind of a show, not a show, but I did a Channel 4 contact me and said, do you want to talk about it and say, what your feeling is? And I just said, education. And that's all I said to them. I said, these kids or these people who are doing it need to be educated more than anything. I don't know if you seen the post yesterday on the Top 6 show, the woman who, super chat. Oh man, that gave me some hope, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That gave me some hope, man.
Speak to me about it, because I've not actually seen the video. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, she said.
I know what video it is, but like, what was like after that comment? Like, what was the context in the room like?
Yeah, she said. Someone just sent a super chat on the Top 6 show on a Turkish channel, and she said. She sent a super chat. She said, I forgot her name, but she said something along the lines of, my parents were part of the EDL,
I remember. I think I've got it from her. She said something along the lines.
Yeah, go on, say it.
But I haven't got quite a word if my laptop's quick. But they said something that they were pro EDL and BMP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's it.
Which, in case you're not aware, obviously, if you're watching from elsewhere, they're both racist organisations within Sheffield, like massively, not Sheffield, within UK. Sorry,
yeah, UK. I was gonna say.
Not just Sheffield. The world, sadly,
yeah, nothing about Sheffield.
they're bigger than just Sheffield. But yeah, so they're a massive organisation. So she basically, if I can flip and get it, so it was Turkish. I think I've got it here. But yeah, she basically said that, you know, having watched your guys sort of plot. Oh, there we go. I've got it. Okay, perfect. I'll read it out word for word. So it's Judy Hops. On the subject of racism, my family used to be heavily pro EDL and BNP. So EDL and BNP are racist organization equivalent to the KKK. It was watching AFTV and seeing troops. Obviously, list off everyone on AFTV. That really helped me deprogram me. Your epic ambassadors of English football. Yo, bro, that's massive, man. And
massive, man. Massive.
Yo, that's alhamdulillah, that's actually amazing. Obviously, I replied to it saying, yo, keep up the good work, etc. But you know, getting messages like that, I know
gives you hope.
Positive. Exactly.
Yeah, you just hope that, you know, that can, and I've heard stories of people saying, oh, my dad, people are saying that, oh, I went out with a black guy, or I went out with an Asian, guy, and, they've almost cancelled me and they've almost disowned me, and they said, oh, we don't want to see you ever again, and how can you raise up that person and whatnot. And for me, it's education, man. Like, these people who, like I remember there was I got a colleague of mine who her dad said was very, very racist, and she openly admitted it. She said, my dad was openly racist. He used to say words back in the day, and now he's apparently he's cooled down, but still, like, in terms of like the whole feel of it, education is massive, just to let people know. And I feel like maybe society isn't brought up in it.
I was going to ask you, Saeed, because obviously we both work in a school environment. Do you think the schools can do more? Because, like, for me personally, right?
Oh, massively, mate, massively.
I don't think schools do nowhere near. You see the Black History Month. Sorry, apologies. October time, that come up and stuff. But surely, I'm a strong believer, and I'm sure you probably agree that if you teach a kid with something from a young age, they'll hold it for the rest of their life. And obviously their parents have a massive influence on them, but surely it's got to be a staple in kids' education. Like PSHE, for example, like
that's massive. That's
racism,
massive.
Resilience. Teaching them things that are important in society, because that's what comes down to it. You said education, like, but if you got a kid that's from a racist background, right, and they go into school, right, you know what kids are like. They'll ask questions, innit? Like, they go into school and the teacher's teaching them about X, Y, and Z. Like, for example, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, etc. That kid will go home and say, Dad, why do you say that we shouldn't X, Y, and Z? Like, why should we be? Let's just use an example. Mean to people of black skin color. My teacher said X, Y. Do you know what I mean? Like, they start to have that conversation at home. And I think that is the problem. Like, with society, people will say, it's too difficult, but at the same time, you've got to start by the root. And that, like you said, which is the education. You've got to start with the next generation. The generation above us, or maybe above our parents, they come from a different era. And like, for example, like in the 50s, 60s, when they were about, obviously slavery was practically still a thing. Like, it was actually mad if you think about it. So like, we got to look at the next generation if we want to sort of diminish racism. Like, I feel like our generation is like more accepting of different, like you see with like LGBT community as well. Like, it's more accepting of everything. Like, even get that in 20 years ago.
And that's why I have hope, man. I feel like our generation might be the key to the world becoming a kind of a multicultural society, in terms of that's massive. That Abdullah, man, I couldn't even stress that enough. I feel like for me, what I hope for, and I'll get the kind of positives out of the way first. Positives out first, because there is positives there. There is, in terms of PSHE, there is kind of, we are learning things about, there will be like a woman with a headscarf on, to show that this is a Muslim. There will be kind of black people, different colored people. There is that there, and I feel like they're trying to get to that level. But for me, what I think what needs to be said more is, the kind of the racial elements. Like, I remember a kid, he said to me, why is your skin color, why you got a different skin color, and I was just like, it was sometimes I feel like for me, I had to give that education straight away. And it was in lunch. I remember it was in lunchtime, and I was like, do I just let him go, or should I just let him know? You know what I mean? Should I just let him have it, like, eat his, like, pack lunch, or should I just educate him? And I thought to myself,
man said, I'll put the food down. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I said to him, stop your food, mate. You know what I mean? Honestly, I'll be serious, man. I said to myself, shall I give him education, or is it lunchtime? And these are the questions you have to yourself. And I said to myself, right, I'm going to give him 2-minute education lesson on it. And I said to him, there's different skin colors. There's black, there's brown, there's white, there's different, all these different elements here. And I said to him, but we are all one. I said to him, we are all one. We are all equal. We are, we do the same stuff, everything. And all he said was, okay, And I felt like for me, it was almost like, he didn't understand that. And I feel like for me, what's the education there? And I feel like, is it kind of a society built like that? I'm not sure. And I feel like schools nowadays.
The thing is, Saeed, right? Like you said that he didn't understand. If anything, that's even more damning to me because you're not born a racist. You're taught to be racist.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't understand the difference between black and white, or in our case, brown. And so, he doesn't understand the difference because he's like, what does it matter? In his head, he's like, what difference does it make if I'm chilling, like if I'm playing in the playground, etc. with someone of this?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's no different to them. Like, and it's taught. That's the thing. That's what I mean. Like, the next generation is so key for me. Like, and I have to stress as well the media, the impact that they have on brainwashing people. I mentioned the Meghan Markle article, which if you haven't seen it, by all means go check it out. I've tweeted it on my Twitter. It's an absolute joke. It's similar to the Sterling one when Sterling called them out about the way they were writing articles about black players, and in particular him, compared to how they write against for a white person. And the media brainwash people. They paint these narratives. Like, for example, let's just say you're like a celebrity yourself. The way people would brainwash people is to think you're X, Y, and Z. When Pogba does something, they mention his faith, they mention his culture. When I'm just using a random example here, Declan Rice does the same thing as Pogba. They don't mention none of his faith. They don't mention his Christian. I don't know if he's Christian bumps. They don't mention his Christian. They don't mention anything else. And subconsciously, that and people on social media so much. If you see it every single day, it starts to brainwash people. And I think that is one of the major factors. But Saeed, I knew you need to shoot, so I'm going to finish with one question. This one's written for you. What advice would you give to your younger self? So if 10 years ago, so obviously, alhamdulillah, obviously you've seen life, you've seen the world, you've got experiences. But what advice? So if you could go back 10 years and speak to yourself and say X, Y, and Z, what advice would you give to yourself? I'll put them on spot here, to be fair.
That's a good one, I think for me, one would be don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to try new things. I think that's one thing I did when I was like so I'm 27 now, alhamdulillah. Like when I was 17, I kind of hesitated a lot of stuff. Another thing would be, express yourself more, try and be more expressive, try and be more confident in your ability, know your ability as well. Like, try and, understand that you have a good ability and you have good kind of, shout out to you, man. And just trust yourself more. That would be a good one, man. Trust yourself more. Because I think 100%. For me, at that age, you're capable and you have got so much, like, knowledge of everything. And I just almost like see the world for what it is and don't try and follow the crowd. I did follow the crowd at like 17. I did kind of like do what people wanted to do and what was very, very kind of
sorry, like that Justin Bieber hairstyle back then because it was in on that, and then I'm saying,
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I just feel like you've got to do things and be outside the box, and I feel like you will succeed. But yeah, just trust yourself. Be patient, and I think the success will come. But yeah, try new stuff, man. I mean, don't think inside one box, man. Yeah, shout out to Dan TV, man. Yeah, I just and I feel like it will keep going. And for me as well, if I speak to someone right now who's not tried anything right now, I feel like that would be only fair for someone who's at our age or even older. Don't regret anything, excuse me, like try things, I mean, still young. I always say to people, man, if you get to like 40 and you're still going and you're still going strong, man, you still got time in your hands, man. Still 100%. Keep doing stuff. And for me, I always tweet out on a weekly basis. I try and do it, and I say to myself,
Monday, did you tweet on Monday?
Yeah. I always say like people like attack your goals, man. It's a new week. Forget last week happened. Yeah, this is a new week. Yeah, attack your goals. Find your what you want to do and do it. And just keep going, man. Just keep believing in yourself because 100%. For me, at the end of the day, man, like nobody can stop believing, man. That's one thing I say. Nobody can stop believing that they want to do something because at the end of the day, man, it's only you can tell yourself you can't do it. Nobody else can tell you, man. Only you. And that's
100%, man. 100%. Like, at the end of the day, you are the sort of driver your own destiny, man. You control your own destiny. believe in yourself, as Saeed said, man, and find that purpose, man. And I love the fact that he said, try different things. I don't like when people say you can't do X, Y, and Z and they'll put you in a box. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Do whatever you want. Listen, spread love, spread positivity, and stay positive, man. But listen, we're going to wrap it on that positive note because I know Saeed's not on the podcast. So, listen, as always, just want to say a massive thank you to our guest, Absolute Clash Show, as always. Saeed, tell the people where they can find you, bro.
Oh, man, don't worry about me, man. I want to get you to 1K, brother, because you deserve the 1K. Make sure people to subscribe to Usmaan Talks, man. Let's get him to 1K and keep growing, man. You're doing good stuff, man. So keep going and keep elevating, man. But yeah, United Central on YouTube, and yeah, man. We're back. We're back tomorrow. Yeah, so
yes.
Night off tonight, and then obviously back tomorrow.
His link will be down below. Obviously, hit the link. Follow me on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter. As always, drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully, you've learned something from Stay Positive, and we'll catch you tomorrow.